Hello and welcome back to the Jules with Gem podcast. I am your host GiGi and I hope you're well. If you're new, welcome. I'm honored to have you here. If you're returning, I'm so humbled to have you back. And to all my new subbies, welcome. You are the VIPs indeed. Thank you so much for the support. I hope you and I can learn and share on this journey because it's definitely not a destination. So tonight I'm just chilling under the veranda at home. I'm really loving the cool breeze that I can feel on my skin right now, and it's probably going to start making my eyes teary because the wind is quite strong. But I was just drawn to record outside today, and I really hope that it does not interfere with my sound. But I'm just hoping that it doesn't interfere with my sound too much. But I just couldn't resist being under the veranda, seeing the skies, looking at the lights, and being around nature. But this time I'm actually kicking off the houses series actually, and of course by virtue of order I will be starting with the first house. So as I mentioned before in my previous videos, there are a total of 12 houses within the birth chart, and each house is basically a segment or an area of life. So each house has a ruler, and that ruler is the zodiac sign that it rules, basically. I think it's also important to note that the different houses can have any planet in it, and the first house is important as it actually lays out and it really is just the mouth or the beginning of the chart. The zodiac sign that rules the first house also determines the flow of the rest of the chart. So, your first house is also known as your ascendant. A lot of people like to say rising sign. So it's just basically the sign that was rising at the time of your birth. So the sign that was on the horizon at the time of your birth. That's just, all that it means. But of course, that's not just all what it means, because it's so damn important. So naturally, the first house starts off with Aries. However, depending on the mathematical calculations of your own individual chart, which is dependent on a lot of factors, it's dependent on where you were born, it's dependent on the time that you were born, and of course the place, because the longitude and latitude will be vastly different. And that's why I emphasize so much that people really get into their birth charts, because just because you share, the same zodiac sign as somebody, it does not mean that you guys are going to have the same type of birth chart. It does not matter at all. I have yet to actually delve into twins birth charts, but for the most part your birth chart will be vastly different from anyone else. Like I did say, it takes about 25,000 years for your own individual chart to be repeated. So it's some unique stuff that we're dealing with here. So the first house is, how you appear to others. It's also how you can be perceived by other people. It could also explain your physical features to a certain degree. It also tells you how you deal with life in general, how slow you are or might be to change. Because usually I'll even make an example with a Taurus ascendant. A lot of people always think that Tauruses are so slow to change. If you can hear that dog barking, please try and hear what I'm saying. It is quite loud. It's my neighbor's dog. So hopefully it does not affect my sound too much. But yes, as I was saying, a Taurus ascendant, is known for being quite slow and steady, kind of wins the race with these type of people. They're known for being quite lazy and just very stubborn to the point where they don't really take kindly to people telling them what to do, especially when it involves some sort of effort on their part to change what it is that they are doing, because they'd much rather be the people responsible for their own change. Because Tauruses are people that have a very strong sense of self, so they don't really need people to tell them, okay, now is the best time to move. They would much rather make the move for themselves. They just don't want to be told. They're just one of those people that I actually attribute Taurus to the meme that I saw on social media. I think it was making the rounds on Facebook a lot. And the meme was saying, for the mere fact that you told me what I knew I needed to do, I'm not going to do it. Something along those lines. Don't at me, but it was definitely something along those lines, whereby when you're being told something that you knew you had to do and now you're just not going to do it because somebody told you to. That's the exact energy that I would akin to Taurus. I think it's very, yeah, that's definitely Taurus vibes. So yeah, a lot of people tend to think that Taurus ascendant people are just quite slow to change. They just don't want to change, or they feel that whatever it is that needs to be changed is currently still working for them, so there's no need for them to change it at all. And that can have people perceive them as being slow or just stubborn or just not wanting to listen to other people, because they feel the first person that they need to be listening to is themselves and really nobody else. And then you have, you could have a Gemini or a Virgo ascendant, which is much more prone to change. It is also quite adaptable, and it just is more flexible, with changes that, change for them is like at the drop of a hat, really. So Gemini Virgo is Mercury energy, and we know with Mercury, changes are quite frequent with that energy, so they're just so used to it. But I'd like to think that people are different, so it just depends what type of change it is that needs to happen, because obviously if it is a change that is maybe detrimental to their health, then of course necessary precautions and a sense of emergency would be taken to those changes. But I think for the most part, if it's just something that people just don't feel that they need to change, then they're probably not going to. And I mean, I'm not sure to control people in essence. Let me not go off a tangent, but essentially the first house is how our ride through this realm begins. The zodiac sign of your first house also becomes the ruler of your overall chart. So, if you have a Taurus ascendant, then your chart ruler would be Venus, and the same way Venus rules over Libra. So if you have a Libra rising, then your Venus would be your chart ruler as well, because remember, some planets do co-rule over certain signs. Like, for example, Saturn rules over Capricorn and over Uranus as well, and Mars rules over Pluto and Aries, and then I think Jupiter also rules over Sagittarius and Pisces as well. So there are planets that co-rule over the sign, so you need to be looking out for that, because it's very important to kind of see where your chart ruler is, and also to note the aspects that are made to your chart ruler. So whether that be Venus, or if you've got a Gemini ascendant, you'd want to check where Mercury is to see how your Mercury is aspected, so that you could figure out a way to work with the energy best, especially if the aspects are afflicted. So if you have a square, or if you have a lot of oppositions to your chart ruler, then because you have this information and you know about it, then it would be easier to kind of take the necessary steps, rather, to work with the energy better, instead of being like, oh my gosh, this energy, I can't deal with it. Because in my books, no aspects are bad. Okay, no risings are bad. I just think it's a matter of dealing with the energy, and obviously accepting that it is what it is, and then forging ways to work better with the energy. Acceptance is the first step of healing, right? So the first house also deals with how you take action. So planets in this house could also change the manner of most of these themes that I've mentioned. So essentially, you can imagine the first house just being the first impression you make on others, as well as how other people experience you, how you experience people, places, and things. The first house is also the house of self, so it is about self-expression. It could indicate the types of food that you like, whether you like foods that are rich, whether you like foods that are quite I don't want to say unhealthy, but I will say quite oily. I think rich is just the word. Yeah, I don't even want to go too further, but what types of food you like, how you like to dress, how you your sense of style, you know, how much you love yourself, and also the things that make you feel comfortable, how you stimulate yourself mentally, what you think about spiritual pursuits or even spirituality in general. And any planet that really finds itself in this house will greatly influence your personality. So I have my Venus trining my Neptune, and Venus is my chart ruler, so that immediately, and Venus is in Pisces for me, so that immediately tells me that my Venus does have some sort of effect on the way that I look. And you know, Pisces is associated with having a very fantastical look. A lot of people tell me that I'm elusive looking. I still have yet to find the perfect definition of that, but apparently people think that I look quite dreamy, or that I look like a fairy tale, or something like to that effect. I've also heard that Pisces risings, because I have Venus in Pisces, and you know, trines my ascendant, sorry, not my Neptune, my ascendant, because it trines my ascendant, it makes me have like really nice eyes to look at. So it definitely does affect the way people see you, the way people perceive you, the energy that you project as well. So it's very important to look into these things, because it helps you understand yourself better, and it helps you understand how other people perceive you as well. Not that you need to change anything, it's just that now you can feel more comfortable in your skin if certain people describe you a certain way, because you can be like, oh, okay, yeah, obviously you think that way because of 1 2 3 4. It's just always fascinating to me how astrology always helps me understand myself a whole lot better. And I think that is essentially what the first house is all about. It's about what needs to come to the forefront. It is about how you are expressing yourself to the world, how people are going to be perceiving you. And of course, the planets that are in this house will definitely affect that. However, self-expression, a strong sense of self-worth, all the things that that Aries is attributed to are essentially what the first house is about. So as I've mentioned before, Aries is the natural ruler for the first house, and it rules the self-image, and to a certain degree our mannerisms as well. The importance of this house is just due to the fact that it basically starts and ends off your chart. Whatever is in the first house determines what's going to be in your 12th house. If you want to be practical, it's how you bring out yourself and what you have to offer the world in terms of your individuality, what rises up for everyone to see. The first house, as I mentioned before, is our self-expression, and everything has to go through the first house. So it's kind of a big deal, because everything needs to be filtered through the first house. Nothing that is part of your chart cannot go through the process of it coming from your first house. Even the way you perceive things, even from conversations that you might have with people, relationships that you might have with people, it first has to go through the first door, the first layer, the first room, the first section, the first area of life, the first everything. To put it to more practical, to give you another practical explanation, you know, if our first house is in Taurus, how we deal with our self-worth, which is attributed to the second house, how we communicate, how we deal with family, how we have fun, how we work on a day-to-day basis, our relationships, the ways that we pull money from other people, our religious beliefs, our reputation, our friends and our goals, and lastly, how we deal with subconscious, and how we deal with loss, and how we deal with death. Maybe not, you know, a physical death, but even an ego death. All of these things will in some way, shape or form be influenced by our first house. And I've mentioned just topically all the influences of the houses to provide a deeper understanding of what it is that I'm actually trying to say. I always hope to bring some sort of clarity in the understanding or the study of astrology, and I hope you have understood a little bit more about the first house and its influence. In my next video, I will be discussing the second house, and maybe, just maybe, I might add an extra one, who knows, based off of my celebrity series that I just started, I think sometime in the week. But on that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Show me some love and subscribe to my channel if you'd like and if you feel drawn. And subscribe if you feel that I have actually brought some value to your understanding of astrology, because I know sometimes if it is something that you're starting to get into, it can be a bit daunting, and all of the terms and the jargon are so confusing that it's like, what is happening? But I hope that I'm breaking it down as much as possible, and as always, your time spent is much appreciated. Till next time, you know what you do, so keep doing what you do. Peace, love, and most of all, light. I'm out.